Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Spinistry Chat. This is a very special kick-off 2021 in style edition of Spinistry Chat. We're going over what we think is a tremendous benefit for Club Spinistry members going forward. And we're really excited about this. Pieces are in place to get this ball rolling in a very substantial way, effective January 1st, 2021. But we will constantly be building on this throughout the year, and we'll touch on that a bit later in the discussion here. I am your host of Adventure, Kevin Lee with the Spinistry. And tonight, today, this morning, whenever it is in your world, we're talking about our Spinistry routes and how they're going to be available going forward to Club Spinistry members. This has always been a huge benefit to Club Spinistry members. But up until this point, I'll be perfectly honest and frank, the library itself has been less than organized. Partly that's a function of my laziness or being too busy, whatever you want to call it, but also a functionality of it is we just have so much content, it's very difficult to organize in a streamlined fashion. So if you can give us 5 minutes, for the vast majority of the people out there, the first 5 minutes of this video is really going to hit on the high points of this, the basic functionality, the logic of the interface, things like that, and what's coming down the road. After that first 5 minutes, we'll go a little bit more in depth of what's in the library now and details of how to access things, do other things. It's probably only going to apply to a third of the audience or less. So give us the next 5 minutes. Most of you can move on after that. Greatly appreciated. So where we're starting with this specifically, since the majority of our membership and the majority of our routes are in the North Texas area presently, we first started with what we're calling the Club Spinistry DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth routes. Basically, these are roughly within 90 minutes of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. These are up and running, ready to go. All of our other routes in all other parts of the country and state, those are still in the regular library and accessible. They just haven't been organized in this fashion yet, but that's coming very soon. North Texas routes and the network of roads that they encompass. So, I mean, obviously this is the Denton to Red River area, some stuff out towards Wichita Falls, go to the southwest towards Crawford. I'm sorry, southwest down here. Look at this. It's even more than I thought. Southwest towards Crawford, the west towards Jacksboro. We have a lot of actually metro urban stuff. Maypearl, Itasca, Hillsboro area. A little bit out east towards Bonham and so forth. Realistically, though, we're going to add a complete dedicated segment for Northeast Texas and East Texas. It's going to put a lot more in that. But this is just giving you a quickie glance. You know, these are routes that we have in place that are readily retrievable now and what the overall network looks like. So now I'm going to show you how to actually access them. Okay. We'll close this out and we'll start from scratch like we're a brand new user. Now this link is going to be in the comments for the video itself on YouTube or posted on social media. There will be a link to this Club Spinistry DFW routes. This is just a different way to access the routes and a different way to catalog them than we've done before. I think the organization works a little bit better, and it actually adds some pretty cool functionality as well that we're excited about. This is free for Club Spinistry members. We have it set up as a bicycle event for multiple reasons. You go to this link and then just sign up. If you're a club member already, this $75 fee is waived at checkout. It'll go to zero. And then you'll be signed up for the event and it'll recognize that you're part of this event so that you can access the library. If you're not currently a Club Spinistry member, you can go ahead and click the sign up here and the $75 will get you into the event. And what I'll do is forward you a coupon code for that $75 credit towards a Club Spinistry membership at that point. A 12-month individual membership is $75. A 12-month family membership is $100. So if you're wanting to sign up a family, you'll get a coupon code for $75, and then you just go to the club page, and next $25 you have your family membership. If you're just wanting your solo membership, you go to your club page, put in the coupon code, and you don't have to pay any extra for it. So what happens is once you are signed up for this Club Spinistry DFW Routes event, at that point, the system will recognize that you are signed up, and you will have route access. You can click on this route access, and you'll need a Ride with GPS account already. If you don't have one, it'll prompt you to set one up. Makes it easier to already have your Ride with GPS account and be logged into it when you do this. I also recommend doing this from a PC or a Mac or so. Don't do it from the phone. Probably don't do it from a tablet either. First time in, just do it from your PC. You can probably do it with a mobile device as well. It just works better from a PC environment. So you click on that, it RSVPs you, adds you to the list, continue to the event. There's a lot of routes here. Right now, at the moment, just in the DFW area, we have over 250 routes, ranging from this first one, about 13 miles, to I think I have one that's 450 something miles. Over 200 of them are 70 miles or less. So don't worry about it. It's not a bunch of super long stuff, but there's enough really long stuff in there. Again, this is just the Dallas-Fort Worth area ones, over 250 routes. And the way we have them sorted presently is by mileage, shortest to longest. And we'll kind of scroll through this here, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Starting at 13.7 miles, and you just scroll through. Basically, any distance of a route that you're looking for, you can scroll until you say, I'm looking for a 35-mile route. So I see this 35.1 mile route, 35. And this is how we get to sort that way. We put the mileage as the first data point in the description. Then the middle part is just kind of a generic description. Sometimes it's tied to an event of ours or just other stuff we put together. So this was 2020 Holiday Ramble. I know that just because that's when I created. So this was our Holiday Ramble 35-mile route. And then the last data point will be the city that it's set in or staged from. So what we're going to do is we're just going to click on this line. And so then it'll pre-populate the map over here. And we can go to the route. Click on that. So here's the full route. And it's got all the data and everything like that. Now, what this new functionality allows for, I'm going to go ahead and hit the back button here. All of this is set up like our events that we do live as far as Ride with GPS is concerned. So this is a library of routes that once you access them through this events tab and add them to your Ride with GPS account, as long as you write them this way, not copy it to your own account and access it that way, but if you access it from the Spinistry library directly, then you also, if you need a Ride with GPS app navigation, that's available free of charge. You don't have to subscribe to Ride with GPS to navigate these routes. Obviously, if you already have a navigation device, a Wahoo or a Garmin or whatever else, you can download the GPX file like always and just upload it. But if you don't have a dedicated device, all of these routes are in this configuration. You're able to utilize that Ride with GPS app at no cost, which I think is kind of cool. I do like the part where we're able to sort by mileage. That's probably been the biggest request when people have asked for routes. Hey, Kevin, I'm looking for a 35-mile route. Where would you point me to? It's like, well, I've got literally dozens of routes around 35 miles. So this gives people the opportunity to find routes that are in the mileage range they're looking for, and then they can glance over here. Oh, that one's out of Munster, that one's out of Maypearl, that's out of Gainesville. So it helps you geographically tie it down. Again, right now we're focusing just on the North Texas DFW route stuff that's generally speaking within 90 minutes of DFW. That's kind of loose. And right now it's over 250 routes, and we're still adding to it. I just added 3 or 4 routes yesterday from stuff. I actually have a ton of routes These are only our routes that we've created since 2016. I have a ton of routes between 2010 and March of 2016 that are still on, for lack of a better term, my personal Spinistry account, that I need to start moving some of those over here. Now, a lot of them we didn't move initially because those first few years, a lot of those gravel roads have been paved over. That's why we kept moving further north, further south, further west. Uh, when we started in 2010, there was a lot of dirt and gravel just outside of Dallas Fort Worth. And over the years, a lot of that's just been creeping further and further outside the metro area to actually get to the gravel. That said, a lot of those routes are still good rides. They're just paved right now. So we're going to start throwing some of those better routes from the older days back into the mix along those lines. Now, here's another benefit of formatting this way as an actual event in Ride with GPS. This is something that we weren't able to do before with just the static route library that you had to find a way to sort through or use random keywords or whatever else. Now, if the route has actually been ridden by people and they uploaded their results to Ride with GPS, and obviously if you use the Ride with GPS app, it's going to do this automatically. It actually, over time, it creates a leaderboard now. So not all of these routes are going to have leaderboards, and some are going to have more than others, no doubt about it. See if we can find one that's likely to have a pretty big group. I think I saw something earlier. I think it was this one. So this was our 2017 46-mile loop. Bring up the leaderboard on that if it lets us. There we go. And so there's more people there, but I believe if we show all efforts, it even adds more. Well, maybe not. There's more people there. This isn't the one I was thinking of. I saw one earlier that had like 27 entries. That said, since this is now configured this way, over time, more people are going to be doing more of these rides. Obviously, not everyone is concerned about measuring their times against everyone else. Some people are, though. This isn't exactly Strava, not trying to paint that picture of it, but this is a way to keep track of times for some of these routes, specifically in this environment. And there's a high likelihood that we'll set up some routes as event qualifier routes somewhere down the road when we get kind of back to normal in the virus environment, able to go back to category racing. We'll set up some certain routes, say, hey, go out there and give it your best time trial effort, and we'll see which category you qualify for, that sort of thing. So again, basic structure, sorted by mileage, over 250 routes surrounding Dallas-Fort Worth. The longest one right now is 451 miles. All the routes up to 100 miles, the prefix is the actual mileage. After 100, to get it to sort properly, we had to put a Z in front of there. So all of our 100-mile or more routes will have Zs. Some of the routes were tied to events. So that's something to be aware of. We may have start and end points that may be on private property or not normally accessible or something like that because it was part of an event. So the routes themselves just kind of keep as general, and also keep that in mind for the start points and end points as well. Obviously, a lot of these are going to be in Munster and Valley View and Hillsboro and Jacksboro, because those were the places that had the facilities that were appropriate for us to start our events from. We have other routes that were Club Spinistry rides that maybe we started in the middle of nowhere or something like that. But most of these are loops. So don't get, particularly if it's a longer mileage route. Let's see. Let's look at this. Midnight Massacre 100-miler in Sanger. That particular one started in Sanger, but if you were looking for a route that started closer to Valley View, the route goes right through Valley View. It goes right through Gainesville. If you live out towards Whitesboro or Sherman or Denison, you can come in from the north end at Oak Ridge or Lake Kiowa or something like that. So the the geographic designation for the start and end point, again, most of these routes are going to be loops. So that's going to be a very general designation. The one place where that could come into play, the Ride with GPS navigation app works really well for this. You can start in the middle of a route, continue past the start point, and it's not going to say, hey, you were supposed to be done. We're not going to record anymore or give you prompts. The Ride with GPS app is very good about if you finish the route but keep going, it's just going to continue plotting you on that route. I know sometimes Garmin's will get a little bit confused by that. If you get to an endpoint on the route and you don't specifically mash the button, say keep telling me what to do, it's just going to assume you're done and turn off. I think Wahoo's pretty good, like Ride with GPS, from my memory of just, well, if you're on the route and keep going, it assumes you want to be rolling on the route. So that's something you got to be aware of your own hardware and how that works. Again, right now, Dallas Fort Worth 250 plus routes are done and ready to go. Plan is to do Central Texas next. I would say give us to the end of January for that. Probably going to be sooner, but I don't want to overcommit. Then we're going to do our West Texas and Big Bend stuff. Then we're probably going to do our East Texas and Paris and Texarkana rat stuff. Throw that into the mix. Then we'll probably do Colorado, New Mexico. Actually, probably do Oklahoma, Colorado, New Mexico, Kansas. And get everything organized in this way. And for all of them, whenever we create a new route and add a new route, it's automatically there. So you can always access this event. Again, this is just for this organization of the routes. All of those routes, if you're a current Club Spinistry member, are already available to you. All right, if you are already a Club Spinistry member and you're not familiar with how to set up the Spinistry route library on your Ride with GPS, you just go to the club page, sign in to your Run Sign Up or BikeSignUp.com account, just like you do for Spinistry events. Once it recognizes your login, it's going to recognize that you're an active club member, and you can scroll down here and Ride with GPS club link. You click there. Remember, continue to the organization. And you just click on the route library. And here are literally thousands. Now, I'm going to assume thousands. Here are literally many hundreds of routes. I'm going to assume in the thousands at this point. That's the one thing. I haven't found an easy way to count my routes here. So this is the full library that everyone that's a club member has access to now. So you can see all the routes in all those areas that we talked about. You can sort by distance, 13.1 miles to, if we go backwards, there's the RAT 1000, 1,000 miles there. You can search by location. If we're looking in Llano, Texas, here's a bunch of our Llano routes right there. If you know the name of one, and this might get tricky because my naming conventions are all over the place, something I want to work on, but that's going to be a long-term project because this is a lot of routes to work on the naming convention. But an example actually might be if we made the name now 65, whoops, sorry, try that again. Since we've started this new naming convention, if we made the name 65, so all those DFW routes that I changed to the naming convention of 65, that's one way to bring up those specific mileage. So something to think about there. But if we did it another way, if we wanted to see Red River Riot specifically, here's a bunch of different Red River Riot routes over the years and that sort of thing. So the library, full library, is already accessible. It's just a little cumbersome and not the best organized way to find stuff right now. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, been looking at this for a long time, trying to figure out how to do that. And just with the vast number of routes we have, there's no simple way to do it. I think this little workaround that we've come up with through this events page and setting everything up through here, and then it also gives everyone the Ride with GPS app access. We're pretty excited about all that. So that's our overview for Club Spinistry route library updates for 2021. It's available now for the DFW routes, within 90 minutes of Dallas-Fort Worth. Austin, Central Texas, Houston, that's going to be next on the list for our existing routes. We're adding more routes every day. We expect to get the San Antonio one sorted out pretty soon here. Big Bend stuff, we got a lot of cool stuff coming from there. So realistically, I think it's by March 1st. I think we'll have everything pretty much that's existing set up in these different buckets like this. So we'll have the DFW routes, we'll have the Central Texas routes. Again, the states like we've mentioned. Now, over time, what I'll probably do, like I've already seen that 250 plus routes around DFW, that needs to be narrowed down even further. But we'll do it in phases. So we'll probably shift it to a northern group and a southern group sort of thing. But that's down the road. This works really well now. Also, a feature of the Club Spinistry membership that you get with this, if you need a custom route designed, obviously we have a lot of information. And if you're looking for a route that's a certain length out of a certain town or going through a certain town or something like that, just put in a request and we're happy to do custom routes for people. That's just part of your membership. There's no cost for that or anything like that. Thank you for joining us on our 2021 Club Spinistry kickoff. Please do spread the word, but get out there and ride.